Alright guys, got a little something I thought I'd show. If you're working on a 55, 56, 57 Chevrolet car, maybe the same as a truck too, I'm not sure. I've never actually owned one of those in a truck. Anyway, I'm talking about your back of your instrument cluster. You have your little bulb sockets for like your dash illumination. They have a single little prong stud on the back of them there that a factory connector slips over. Anyway, if you don't buy a factory replacement harness, you don't get those connectors. So whereas when I drag one in, I buy an easy wire, an aftermarket, and they don't have those particular connections like factory to go on these. So this is what I do to make it work. Now when I started doing this back in the early 2000s, you couldn't buy just those connectors, and they may be available now. I haven't looked because I just do it this way. It's much easier for me. I go to my local Walmart over in the automotive electrical section, and they always have these little bullet connections like this. Now they usually come in a 5-pack. There'll be 5 males, 5 females, or maybe 6, I don't know, but anyway, I'll usually buy a couple packs at a time. They're only a couple bucks. And so anyway, I use the bullet style connector right here. It looks like a bullet on the end. So what I do is I use like a 36 grit roll locker, an 80, whatever you got. You can use a grinder, bench grinder, you can use anything. All you got to do is grind the tip of that bullet tip off just a little bit to where it looks like that. Like you just grind the cone off the end. You can see this is before and this is after. So it just makes a hole in it. Now this is split. Right in the middle it has a split in it, so it's made to expand a little bit. So after I grind it off, because you'll want to hold on to that plastic. If you're holding this by hand, you'll want to have that plastic on there to hold on to, or you're going to burn your fingers. But anyway, I will then pull the plastic off, and it just looks like that. It's just the metal with an open end now. So anyway, this, I'm going to leave the blue connector on here just to show you. But this is, so you'll crimp this on your illumination wire. And this will work also on your generator light and your oil pressure warning light as well. Anyway, that will slip on there like that. See how tight that fits? So anyway, once I pull the connector off, or the plastic sleeve off I should say, I just use a piece of heat shrink and I go all the way to the end of that where I ground the tip off that. All the way to the end. That way it's a full protected side in case something gets against it, or even if it come off and landed down in there or something, which it's a fuse system anyway. But I'll show you on an instrument cluster I have here because I made my own little illumination harness so far. I'm actually going to put this cluster, I've kind of did a semi-restoration on it. I put a new lens in it, kind of cleaned up the chrome the best I could, but I cleaned everything up in there. But it is not complete yet. Like the temp gauge is broken, so I just used the backing plate basically and screwed it back on there. But I put tape on here to keep dust out of it because I'm going to go ahead and just set it in the car. That way it's out of my way. But anyway, that's what those bullet connectors look like after they're slipped on and the heat shrink is heated up. I just use a little cigarette lighter and just lightly heat it and it shrinks right up. But anyway, that is that's just how I do it. There's, on a 55, 56 cluster, there's 4 illumination bulbs, and I always just take some whatever wire I've got here and cut the pieces and twist it all together and then put a connector on it. This one I used a female spade on this, and anyway, so the other single illumination wire will go right into that and it'll line them all up. But anyway, just what I do. Again, don't really care how anybody else does it. But as far as I remember, I think they work on your fuel gauge as well. So you can use them on the fuel and probably your temp gauge for your 56 since it's electric. But anyway, guys, just what I do. If you want to try to find the correct connections and use them, you can, but You know, a couple of bucks at Walmart for a 5-pack or 6-pack, whatever it is. And, I mean, you can't go wrong with it. And they're on there. I mean, they are on there. So, anyway, hope I help somebody out.